I'm going to tell you a few stories. I hope you enjoy them, but I started out as a sophomore. We're playing Seattle University. We're winning 9-0 in the Coast playoffs, and Rod says, Vic, get warm. So I go out and get warm, and I go in top of the sixth, and the first guy up hits a home run off me. Well, Rod left me in. I retired the next 12 in a row. And what was exciting about that, if you pitched in the Coast playoffs, you automatically get a varsity letter. So I wore that Letterman sweater every day. And then Rod sent 10 of us up to Susanville to play for the Susanville Merchants. My record up there was 8 wins and no losses. The next year, Rod sent 4 of us to Reno. Ken Hadley, who wound up signing with Detroit, Buddy Pritchard, who wound up signing with Pittsburgh, and Jerry Mason, Portland. And I got all the ink because I was a star pitcher from USC. And I used to hang around the Riverside Hotel with all the stars. The guy from the Dead End Kids, Leo Gorsey, Peggy Lee, Joey Lewis, and they treated me like I was a superstar because I was a star pitcher for the Reno Sparks Pioneers. And then my aunt and uncle came up to visit, Harry left and Bee left. They came up to visit me. We went to the Mapes Hotel to hear the great Billy Eckstein. And we're waiting, and there's a crowd around a blackjack table, and somebody said the man playing blackjack is ahead 25,000. That's a lot of money in those days. And he had a heart attack. And he's bent over, and his wife gave him a pill, and he's drooling. And the pit boss name was Mooney Jackson. And Mooney said, "You want to quit?" And the guy looked up at me and he said, "No, deal him." That's the God's honest truth. And we came out after the show and he was still playing. After the College World Series, the Pirates flew me to Pittsburgh to work out under the eyes of the great Brad Trickey. He offered me a contract and I turned it down. And all the scouts said, Vic doesn't want to play pro ball, but that wasn't the case. The case was Rod was taking a team to Asia on a goodwill tour, and he said he needed me. I owed it to Rod, and I owed it to USC to go on that trip. I weighed 206 pounds. When I came home, I weighed 189. I pitched in 100-degree heat with 100-degree humidity, and believe me, it was very, very hot. I pitched before 65,000 in Osaka, 200 in Korea, 200 in Okinawa. And then we came back to Japan. I pitched in the stadium before a couple thousand. And then we wound up in Hawaii, where I pitched against the Hawaiian All-Stars. I finished up with a 9-0 record. And I like to think that I helped put USC on the international map. And then I signed with the Cleveland Indians, and they sent me to Reading in the Eastern League. I led the league in pitching. I was 17-5 with a 1.96 ERA. So I was pretty good. I was voted most valuable pitcher, most valuable player on the Reading team. My manager was an old Dutchman named Don Hefner, who played with the Yankees. He played with Ruth and Gary. I got in trouble in Allentown one night. I was a little wild, and he came out to the mound to talk to me. And I swear to God, all he said to me was, "Get the ball over, you college hot dog bastard." We had a very rocky relationship for a while. And then he would call me that, but he'd have a smile on his face once I became his ace. In fact, we became very close. When his daughter Dorothy came in from Europe, Don asked me to show her around Reading, and I did. I was in the family room when Don passed on. And his son-in-law, who was a Los Angeles-based attorney, came over to me and said, "Vic, I got a problem." I said, "What is it?" "I got a bunch of Babe Ruth autographed baseballs in the garage." I went, "Wow." He said, "My problem is that it was Don's job as a rookie to sign the Babe's name to the baseball." I always wondered what happened to those baseballs. And then I went in the Navy. It took me 2 years to win 20 games, but I did pitching for Subpac at Pearl Harbor. And one afternoon I was pitching in Honolulu Stadium, and something happened to my elbow, and they took me up to Tripler Army Hospital, and they x-rayed my elbow, and the doctor said, "You have a hairline fracture. It'll heal itself, but I recommend you don't pitch for about a month." Well, 3 weeks later, I'm in the bullpen, I'm throwing, but I'm not cutting loose. And then the Admiral wants to see me. So I ran and I get in my dress blues and I go to see the Admiral. And he said, Vic, we're playing the Marines Sunday. I said, yeah, I know. He said, you're pitching. I go, Admiral, I don't think I'm ready yet. He said, Vic, there's a sub-tender leaving for Japan. You're either pitching or you're on that sub-tender. I said, give me the ball, Admiral. Because when the Admiral says jump, all you do is say, how high. When I left the Navy, I went to play in Wenatchee in the Northwest League. I finished up with a 7-1 record, and the last game I pitched was a 2-hit shutout, and the Reds signed me to another contract. But I got married, and I'm still married. My wife Renee, we've been married 59 years. I wanted to go home. I quit at the age of 25. I wanted to go home and start my family. I've got my son Jeff here with his son Bennett, my son Craig with his son Jackson, and my daughter Tracy with her husband Ross and their son Trent. So my life was pretty filled. I have 9 grandkids, but my granddaughters didn't want to come to the dinner, so they stayed home. Well, what happened was, I only played a couple of years, but I made a couple of great friends. One of them was Pete Rose. Petey adored my wife Renee, and he was good to my kids, and he was good to the little people. He always signed autographs for everybody, and that's why he was my friend, because he was good to the little people. I have a million stories about Pete, but I'm only going to tell you 2. We're driving down Figueroa to go to the Dodger game. The Reds are playing the Dodgers. And a car pulls up next to us, and the most beautiful Asian girl you ever want to see. And Pete rolls the window down and says, hi, I'm Pete Rose. And she looks at him and she says, go F yourself. And she drives away. And Pete looks at me and says, I guess she doesn't like baseball. The other story is, Pete and I are in Palm Beach at the dog track. And this old guy comes over to me and says, pardon me. He says, are you Pete's father? I'm 7 years older than Pete. And I said, Jesus Christ. I said, you're old, but you're not blind, are you? My other good buddy was Sandy Koufax. Sandy had a terrible time pitching at the Coliseum, and he came over to me and said, Vic, I'm going to quit baseball and go play for the Beverly Hills Grenade Breath. But Norm Sherry got a hold of him and straightened him out and became the greatest pitcher of all time. We're having dinner one night, and I bet him $5 he'd make the Hall of Fame on the first vote. He sent me a letter and a check. And I was in Mid-Valley Athletic Club where I worked out, and one guy said, Vic, I'll give you $2,500 for the letter and the check. And I turned him down. The next day I called Cooperstown. I donated the letter and the check to Cooperstown. So if you go to Cooperstown, and you go to the Koufax archives, so I'm told, you'll see the letter and the check, which means that I'm in Cooperstown with Sandy Koufax. It doesn't get any better than that. Well, all I can tell you is that it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for coming, and my family and my cousins, they're all here, and it's something it's hard for me to put into words what it means for me to be a Trojan. I loved SC from the day I was a little kid, and when Rod Dano called me up and said I had a scholarship, and you got to remember, it was $15 a unit in those days. And I got a scholarship, and I had to borrow money to buy books. So all I can tell you is thank you for coming, and I hope I've told you some cute stories and that you'll remember. Thank you.